Working on some fun stuff today. We are working on getting the seats kind of mounted into place and the brackets figured out. So Gavin, right now we have the driver's seat in place.
Yep, and this is definitely the trickiest seat. We've got pretty low clearance here to this bar, and we've got a handbrake hump right up against our bracket on the right side, which is definitely going to be very difficult to get our mounting spots. The passenger seat's pretty easy. We just got to cut out this, kind of drop it down, set it as far low back as we can. But right now I'm pretty much just trying to make sure that I'm square, measuring off of this bar to the front of my bracket on both sides, and then getting our height set. Once we have our height set for one bar, we're pretty much going to make bars straight across the floor for mounting. Once we have one height set, we'll set the rear to be level with that one, and everything will be leveled off of this front cage bar. We're pretty much assuming the cage is level because our car definitely isn't level. And yeah, it's just a process of measuring like 5-6 times and then cutting once and hoping it's right.
Yeah, and so we are not running the factory pedal system at all. We're doing a pedal box. So right now, obviously, we just kind of have some boards just kind of laying down, kind of simulating where our pedal box will be instead of the factory pedal.
Yeah, because we'll be cutting out that floor right there to fit our pedal box. But, yeah.
So right now, we're just getting a couple really quick measurements, writing them down, getting a rough estimate of where we're going to need to be before we start cutting into things, removing bars.
Pretty much doing all my measurements off of this side here to here, and then we'll just measure from the bracket over to here for our hole, so that don't need too many measurements here really. Just kind of tricky to get the actual measurements. One's easy. And these have an adjustment on them. So I'm doing it to the second hole here, so we can move forward. Should be able to move forward 3 or 4 times and then move back once, because we really have no space going backwards. We've got more space going forwards. So what we wanted to do.
Setting your seat in, you need to have enough clearance between your back bars and then your top bars when you have a full helmet.
Yeah, and we should be fine for head clearance. We need 2 inches with the helmet on.
And then obviously with the halo set up on the seat, we need to have enough room to close the door, which we are clearing perfectly.
Yeah. This bar is definitely the most restrictive of this whole setup, is this bar back here.
But working our way around it.
Okay, so this is we're basically going to be 5 inches from the wall here in. This bar is going to be 12.5 from here back across. It'll be the same height, which is going to be whatever that is, 3 and
3 1/16.
Yeah, 3 1/16. Yep, 3 1/16 high. So we'll probably just be 3 inches high. And that'll be level to the front. 3 inches high. Here, it's not necessarily 3 inches, but level to this. So these are both flat. And we're 2 3/8 back. Is that what that is? No, that's the height. We're 4 inches back to the second hole. Here. 4 inches back for this first bar, 12.5 for the second bar, and then 5 inches in for our first mounting hole, and then we'll just measure the bracket across to find our second mounting hole. And then we will drill those, install some weld nuts, and basically just install the bar.
Yeah, and our plan is we're going to be removing this bar that runs all the way across
Yep.
to get us more room. And then for the passenger
Mostly
seat,
going to be a problem on the passenger side.
yep. For the passenger seat, this exhaust, we're in the unibody, they made room for the exhaust to run. This is going to be cut out so my seat can sit a little bit farther in, and then we will put sheet metal, weld that up so it's basically flush like this, will be flush completely across.
Yeah, it'll go pretty far. It's probably going to go like about this far.
Just to try to save room, because with my seat, the way, with this being here, I'll be too tall, and then I'll be pushed out too far. If we come in right about to here, I'll be pushed out too far. I won't clear the bars, it won't clear the door. But cutting this out will make it so I can be squeezed in, back a little bit farther, and sitting comfortably.
The big halos definitely give an added difficulty to mounting the seats. And especially, it's going to be really difficult for us to get these belts. It's likely this belt is going to have to come back, be mounted somewhere around here on each side. And we got to make sure that our angles are all correct. That's definitely an added difficulty in a small chassis with big seats.
So we got the driver's seat all mounted up, and went pretty smooth, pretty easy. We ended up changing up how we're doing the passenger side, so you can see that I've already got this side plated. We opted not to cut into the body and drop this exhaust tunnel out, because this right here is the center support bearing. So we're just plating over on both sides, running the square tubing like we did over here, mounting our seat brackets, and then running at the seat. Ended up being pretty decent. The mock-up of having the passenger seat in was, plenty far away from the bar. The head clearance is perfectly fine, so we should be all good with that. So we got the first bar for the passenger seat tacked in. And then I've got one of the weld nuts put in. So I'll show you what we're doing. Just kind of showing. So this guy right now, I've got the level on it. You can see where we are at on the level if I'm not shaking the car. Right there. Take that. We're leveling it to this bar, so pretty much the same spot. So basically right now I just have tacked in on both sides for this plate and then this plate, so this will be welded eventually right here. I've got one weld nut in. I'm going to weld this other weld nut in, and then basically I'm going to start plating this side, these two places right here, and then I'll put in the other bar, tack it in, make sure that everything lines up with the seat, double check that, take it out, and then I will get that all welded up. But yeah, so far it's not too bad. Pretty easy stuff. Yeah, just making sure that everything's level, nothing's twisted. I don't want your seat cocked to one side or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, obviously, as you can see on these brackets right here, there's tons and tons of adjustability between everything, so not too worried about that. So just gonna get this one welded up real quick, and then start plating this side, and then get everything in. So just finished tacking in the back bracket, and then testing for seat fitment. So we can see right here, tacked in the seat bracket, and then I still have to finish welding up the weld nuts. Seat fits perfectly fine. We clear this bar pretty well. The halo sticks out just a tiny little bit. But the main concern was making sure that the seatbelt was at the proper degree of angle. With the seatbelts, either has to be at a 0 degree or up to 20 degrees, and right now we're at like 18, 19 degrees. So we're all good on that end of things. So I'm gonna get to welding these into place, and just then after that, double check and make sure both of our seats fit, and should be all set. So Well, seat brackets are in. Just have to tack down a couple of these weld nuts. Not too bad. Obviously, just double check that everything fits properly. Make sure that we got everything set up right. But it's strong. It'll hold. It'll be safe. So that's what's important, is just making sure that the off chance if something happens, that everything's safe and it's going to stay together and keep me safe, keep Gavin safe, and won't have a bad accident. So, but pretty decent setup. So for best what we could do with head clearance, side clearance, and then I got that bigger seat than he did, and just trying to get that halo to fit in properly was a little bit of a pain, and just making sure that our seat belts all line up proper, you know, so they actually cinch down on us and keep us strapped in and safe. So yeah, not too bad.